The wind blew across a dead city. Broken towers stood like old bones, and the ground was covered in metal dust. No birds sang here, no voices called out. Only silence, and the sound of heavy footsteps. Those footsteps belonged to Kalen, a cyborg, half man, half machine. He had once been a soldier built to protect humans. Now he was an outcast, wandering alone through the ruins of a world that had forgotten him. His metal legs creaked as he walked. His red eye flickered with weak power. Every day he searched for scrap parts, wires, energy cells, or anything that could keep his broken body alive a little longer. He didn't remember how many years had passed. The wars had ended long ago, but the world never recovered. Humans had escaped to the skies, leaving Earth behind. The machines that survived stayed hidden, and Kalen was simply left behind. Sometimes when he walked through the empty streets, he imagined voices, the laughter of children, the sound of life. But every time, it was only the echo of the wind. Still, somewhere deep in his old human memory, a part of him refused to die. A small spark of something human. That spark was about to change everything. It was near sunset when Kalen saw the fire. A column of smoke rose from the far side of the city, a bright orange glow cutting through the grey. He turned his head, senses focusing. Fire meant something was alive, or dying. Curiosity, or maybe duty, made him move faster. He climbed over broken bridges and through collapsed streets, the sound of burning metal growing louder. When he reached the source, he stopped. A small transport ship had crashed into an old building. Its engine was still burning, and the air smelled of smoke and oil. Pieces of the ship were scattered everywhere, glowing red from heat. At first he saw no one, then a sound. A weak cry. It was a human voice. Kalen froze. Humans had feared him, hunted him, called him monster. He had promised himself never to go near them again. But that voice, it was small, full of pain. He moved closer, stepping through the smoke. The heat burned the paint off his metal skin. He pushed away a beam and saw her, a little girl, trapped under twisted metal. Her clothes were torn, her face covered in ash. She was breathing, but barely. Kalen's system screamed warnings. Extreme heat detected. Structural damage risk, 80%. He ignored it. He reached out and lifted the wreckage with both arms. Metal groaned. His joints sparked, but he didn't stop. He pulled the girl free and carried her away from the flames. When the ship's engine exploded behind them, the blast threw both of them to the ground. Kalen's armor cracked, but he covered the girl with his body, shielding her from the fire. For a moment there was only silence again, and the sound of her small heartbeat. He looked down at her. Her pulse was weak, but she was alive. He scanned her injuries, burned arm, shallow breathing, shock. He had no medical tools, but he could give her warmth. His chest plate opened slightly, releasing a low heat from his reactor. He wrapped her in his old torn cloak. Slowly the girl's eyes opened. They were soft brown, filled with fear and confusion. When she saw the metal face above her, she gasped. You're a robot!" she whispered. Kalen didn't answer. He simply nodded once. Her body trembled, but she didn't scream. She looked around. The fire, the sky, the broken ground. Tears fell down her cheeks. My mom and dad," she said softly. "Where are they?" Kalen turned his head toward the crashed ship. There was nothing left but fire and shadows. He stayed silent. The girl began to cry quietly. Something in Kalen's old human memory twisted. An echo of pain, of something he once felt long ago. He spoke for the first time in years, his voice rough and metallic. "You are safe now," he said. "I will not let harm come to you." The girl looked up at him, eyes wide. Then slowly she nodded. Kalen lifted her gently and carried her into the night. The fire behind them faded into the darkness of the dead city. Hours later they reached Kalen's underground shelter, hidden deep below the streets. It was a place of wires, old lights, and broken screens, lonely but safe. He laid the girl on a small bed made from soft fabric scraps. She was weak but alive. He gave her water and watched her sleep. He didn't even know her name, yet he felt something strange, a reason to keep moving. Above the ruins, thunder rolled. Far beyond the clouds, stars shined cold and distant. Kalen looked up at them through a crack in the ceiling. He didn't know that one of those stars held someone searching for the same girl, and that soon the quiet cyborg's lonely world would never be the same again. Morning light slowly touched the ruins of the old city. Inside a dark tunnel, a faint blue glow shined from the chest of the cyborg, Kalen. He sat near a small bed, his red eye watching over the little girl he had saved from the fire. The night had been long. The child had cried, called for her parents, and then fallen asleep again. Now she was awake, silent, and staring at the metal figure beside her. Kalen looked back at her. Her arm was wrapped in clean cloth made from his old cloak. She was pale but alive. He could see fear in her eyes, the kind of fear humans had always shown him. Finally she spoke, her voice weak. "Are you going to hurt me?" Kalen's voice came out slow, deep, and rough. "No. I will protect you." The girl blinked, surprised by the answer. She looked around at the walls, full of old screens, wires, and machine parts. "Where are we?" "My shelter," Kalen replied. "It is safe here." The girl tried to sit up, wincing from pain. "What's your name?" she asked. "Kalen," he said simply. "And you?" She hesitated. "My name is Lena." Kalen nodded once. He stored the name in his memory drive. For some reason it felt important. Time passed slowly. Kalen gave Lena water from an old purifier and heated a pack of dried food. She ate quietly, still watching him. The sound of dripping water filled the silence between them. "Were you a soldier?" she asked after a while. "Yes," Kalen said. "Long ago. I was built to protect humans," she frowned. "Then why are you here? Why did they leave you?" Kalen looked down at his metal hands. The scars of war still covered his armor. "When the war ended," he said slowly, "humans feared the machines they had made. They destroyed most of us. I survived." Lena looked sad. "That's not fair." Kalen said nothing. Fairness had never been part of his story. Later that day, Kalen walked to the surface to search for supplies. He told Lena to stay hidden. The city was silent, but in the distance he noticed something strange, a moving light in the sky. It blinked, hovered, then vanished into the clouds. His sensors picked up a short signal pulse, something not from this world. He stored the data and returned to the tunnels quickly. When he entered, Lena was sitting near the fire pit, humming softly to herself. He felt something inside, a warmth he couldn't explain. He hadn't heard a human voice like that in years. "Did you find food?" she asked. "Yes," he said, placing a small bag beside her. "You must eat," she smiled faintly. "Thank you, Kalen." He froze for a moment. It had been a long time since anyone had thanked him, since anyone had spoken his name with kindness. As the night fell, a soft rain began to fall outside. Kalen powered down half his systems to save energy. Lena sat near him, talking quietly. "My father worked in space," she said. "He was part of something called the Starbound project. My mother, too. They said they'd be gone only a few days." She looked down, her voice breaking. "I think they were on that ship. The one that crashed." Kalen remained silent, his red eye glowing dimly. He didn't know how to tell her the truth. He had seen the wreckage. No one else had survived. But before he could speak, Lena continued. "Papa used to say the stars are alive, that one day they'll send light back to those who wait." Kalen looked toward the ceiling, where a single crack showed the faint shimmer of distant stars. He didn't believe in hope, but her words made something stir inside his core. Suddenly, Kalen's senses beeped. He stood up instantly. "What is it?" Lena asked. He raised a finger for silence. Faint sounds echoed from above, metal footsteps, heavy and organized. He activated his scanners, several life signs moving through the ruins. "They are searching," Kalen said. "We must stay hidden." Lena's eyes widened. "Who are they?" "I do not know," Kalen said. "But they are armed." He guided her deeper into the tunnels, moving silently through the shadows. Above them, the sound of engines roared, drones flying overhead. The girl clung to his arm. "Will they hurt us?" Kalen looked down at her and spoke firmly. "They will not touch you. I promise." They stopped near the back of the tunnel, where the old subway collapsed. Galen blocked the path with metal crates and scanned for signals again. The enemy was close. Too close. He could hear them talking through their comms. Target signal detected. Small human life form. Keep searching. Lena covered her mouth in fear. Galen turned off his red eye light and whispered, "Stay quiet. Do not move." The footsteps passed above them. The air was filled with static from scanners, then silence. Minutes passed like hours. Finally, the sound faded away. Lena exhaled, tears in her eyes. "Why are they looking for me?" she asked in a trembling voice. Galen didn't answer. He didn't know the truth yet, but the signal he had detected earlier, the one from the sky, now felt connected. He looked up through the tunnel's ceiling, where faint light glowed through the cracks. Someone, somewhere out there, was searching for this girl, and soon they would find her. The tunnels were silent again, but Galen didn't relax. His senses still caught faint movements above. Soldiers, drones, machines searching. Something was happening in the city, and it all centered around the girl he had saved. Lena Galen stood guard at the tunnel entrance, while Lena slept. Her breathing was slow and soft. He replayed the soldier's message in his memory. Target signal detected, small human life form. They weren't searching for him. They were searching for her, but why? He had seen humans kill each other for power, land, or fear, but not like this. There was something different about this girl, something important. When morning came, Lena woke to find Galen repairing his damaged arm. The metal was cracked from the fire, and his servos sparked with each movement. She sat beside him quietly. "Are they gone?" she asked. "For now," Galen said. "But they will return." Lena looked scared. "They want me, don't they?" Galen didn't answer right away. Finally, he nodded once. "Yes, but they will not find you while I am here." She lowered her head. "You'll get hurt because of me." He looked at her with his red eye glowing faintly. "I have been hurt before," he said, "but never for a reason that mattered." Her lips trembled, then she smiled, just a little. It was the first smile he had seen in years. For the next few days, they stayed underground. Galen moved carefully through the tunnels, collecting food packs and batteries from old stores. He taught Lena how to hide from drones, how to move quietly, and how to use the light from his reactor to stay warm. At night, they talked. Lena told him stories about the stars, how her father used to pilot ships beyond the solar rim, looking for lost human colonies. She said he was brave and never broke his promises. "Maybe he's looking for me," she whispered one night. Galen looked toward the crack in the ceiling, where stars faintly shone. He didn't want to tell her what he believed, that her father might already be gone. But something in his system told him to wait, because sometimes even machines can feel hope. Days later, Galen noticed a strange sound echoing through the tunnels. It was like a heartbeat, slow and steady, coming from somewhere deep underground. He followed the vibration, scanning the walls. Then he found it, a metal door buried behind fallen stones. The door was sealed with an old symbol, the Starbound insignia. It matched the mark on Lena's wristband. He called her over. "Lena, look," she gasped. "That's my father's project logo." Galen pressed his palm to the scanner beside the door. The lights flickered, and a mechanical voice spoke. "DNA authorization required." Lena stepped closer, placing her small hand on the panel. A soft blue light scanned her palm. "Access granted." With a loud hiss, the door opened. Inside was a hidden chamber, filled with old computers, data screens, and stasis pods covered in dust. The air smelled of rust and time. Galen walked slowly, scanning everything. "This place has been sealed for many years," he said. Lena moved toward a control panel and pressed a few keys. One of the monitors flickered to life, showing the image of a man, her father. His recorded voice echoed through the room. "If anyone finds this message, Project Starbound has failed. Our enemies are coming. Protect the child. She is the key to humanity's survival." Lena's eyes filled with tears. "Papa!" Galen looked at the recording. "Your father knew this would happen," he said quietly. "He built this place to keep you safe." Lena turned to him. "But who are the enemies?" Before Galen could answer, his sensors went red. Movement, multiple heat signatures above them closing fast. He turned off the lights instantly. "Hide," he whispered. "Now!" Lena ducked behind a control desk as Kalen took position near the door. The ground trembled as something heavy landed above. A voice echoed down the tunnel. "Thermal scan shows life. Move in." The metal door began to shake under the force of explosions. Dust fell from the ceiling. Kalen charged his arm cannon, old, unstable but deadly. He turned his head toward Lena. "No matter what happens," he said, "do not make a sound." The door burst open in a flash of fire and smoke. Soldiers in dark armor stormed in, lights glowing on their helmets. Kalen opened fire, the blast lighting up the chamber. 2 soldiers fell instantly. Target identified, rogue cyborg. One shouted. Kalen moved like a storm, strong, fast, precise. Bullets hit his armor, sparks flying, but he didn't stop. He slammed one soldier into the wall, then turned and fired again. Lena watched, trembling from her hiding place. She had never seen anything like it. A machine fighting not for orders, but for her. The last soldier aimed at her. Kalen saw it and jumped in front of the shot. The bullet hit his chest plate, tearing through his metal shell. He stumbled but kept fighting. One by one the soldiers fell, until the tunnel fell silent again. Smoke filled the air. Kalen dropped to one knee, sparks falling from his chest. Lena ran to him, tears streaming down her face. "You're hurt," she cried. "I will repair," he said weakly. "You must." "Stay safe." Then, through the hole in the ceiling, a sound filled the ruins, a deep rumble like thunder mixed with engines. Kalen looked up. Through the smoke and clouds he saw a light descending from the sky, bright, silver, and alive. Lena gasped. "What is that?" Kalen stared at it, system scanning. He whispered softly, "Not soldiers, something greater." The light grew stronger until the entire chamber glowed. Something, or someone, was coming from the stars. The ground shook as the silver light descended from the sky. Dust rained down from the broken tunnel ceiling. Lena held onto Kalen's arm, her eyes wide in fear and awe. Outside, the sky turned bright like day. Engines roared. Metallic thunder rolled across the ruins. Kalen's sensors flashed warnings. "Unidentified ship entering lower atmosphere," his mechanical voice said softly. "This is no rescue craft. It is a warship." Lena stepped closer. "A warship?" Then before she could finish, the air outside exploded with sound. A squad of human soldiers in heavy armor dropped from the glowing ship, landing near the ruins above the tunnels. Their weapons gleamed in the firelight. Through his scanners, Kalen listened to their communications. "This is Command Unit 7. We've located the signal. Repeat, the starborn child is confirmed on sight." The soldiers spread out in formation. Some guarded the ship, others moved toward the tunnels, toward them. Kalen's eyes dimmed. "They know you are here," he said. Lena grabbed his hand, trembling. "What do we do?" He looked down at her. "We run. Now!" They moved quickly through the dark tunnels, water splashing under their feet. Kalen carried Lena when her legs grew tired. Behind them, the sound of boots echoed closer and closer. The tunnels curved and twisted. Old lights flickered as if waking from years of sleep. Lena whispered, "Why are they chasing me?" "I didn't do anything." Kalen's voice was low. "They are not chasing you, Lena. They are chasing what you represent." She frowned. "What do you mean?" "Your father's project, Starborn," he said. "It was not just science. It was something more." He paused. "You are special, Lena. You were born with something they fear or desire." Before she could ask more, a blast tore through the wall behind them. Flames and debris filled the tunnel. Soldiers rushed in through the smoke. "Run!" Kalen shouted. He turned and fired his arm cannon. The energy bolt lit up the tunnel like lightning. 2 soldiers fell, but more came. Bullets ripped through the darkness, sparks flying off Kalen's armor. He moved fast, protecting Lena with his body. "Go through there," he ordered, pointing toward an old maintenance hatch. Lena crawled through the narrow tunnel, coughing from smoke. Kalen followed, his metal frame scraping against the walls. They emerged in an old train station buried under rubble. The ceiling had collapsed long ago, leaving only small holes where sunlight shone through the dust. Kalen stopped, scanning the area. The soldiers were closing in again, faster than before. He looked at Lena. "I can hold them off." "You must hide." "No," she shouted. "I'm not leaving you." He crouched, placing a heavy metal hand on her shoulder. "You must survive, Lena. That is all that matters." Tears welled in her eyes. "But you'll die." Kalen's red eye flickered. "I was never truly alive. Until I met you." Lena shook her head, crying. "Please, Kalen, don't." The tunnel behind them erupted as soldiers burst through the wall. There was no more time. Kalen stood tall, his heavy steps echoing across the platform. His voice became strong, powerful. "Go, and do not look back." Lena hesitated for only a second before turning and running into the shadows. The soldiers opened fire. Kalen raised his arm, energy crackling as he returned fire. His blasts struck the walls, sending shockwaves through the ruins. Metal beams fell, crushing 2 attackers, but there were too many. Grenades exploded around him. Pieces of his armor tore off, exposing glowing circuits underneath. Still he fought on, relentless, unstoppable. One soldier shouted through the smoke, "Why protect the child, machine? She's not even human anymore." Kalen's voice was cold as steel. "She is more human than all of you." He charged forward, his fist slamming into the soldier's chest plate, sending him flying. But then a high-pitched tone filled the air. Kalen's senses flashed red. A drone strike was targeting his position. He looked up, saw the red light above, and whispered, "Lena." The explosion hit like thunder. The blast threw Kalen across the platform. Smoke and fire swallowed everything. Lena screamed from her hiding spot as the tunnel shook. She crawled toward the sound, coughing and crying. "Kalen! Kalen!" Through the smoke she saw him, lying still, half buried under rubble. His red eye flickered weakly. "Kalen, please get up," she cried, pulling at the debris with her small hands. He looked at her, his voice broken and soft. "Run! They will come again. I'm not leaving you." He raised one metal hand and touched her face gently. "Your father will find you," he whispered. "He is out there, in the stars." She stared at him, tears falling down her dusty cheeks. "How do you know?" Before he could answer, the ground shook again, but this time it wasn't from bombs. It was a different sound, a deep and steady, like a giant heartbeat. Both of them looked up. The sky above the ruined ceiling glowed with a massive light, white and gold, not silver like the warship. A new ship was descending, enormous, silent, majestic. The soldiers outside stopped firing and looked up in shock. The air vibrated with a strange energy. Kalen's senses struggled to read it. It wasn't human technology. It was something older, more powerful. The warship soldiers began shouting over their comms, "Unidentified vessel!" Massive energy readings. "What is that?" Kalen whispered softly, almost to himself. "Someone has come for her." The light grew brighter, filling the whole station. Lena covered her eyes as a deep echoing voice rang through the air, not from speakers, but from the sky itself. Protective signal confirmed. "Retrieval sequence engaged," Lena gasped. "That voice. It's him." Kalen turned to her. "Who?" she whispered through her tears. "My father." The light from the sky grew brighter and brighter until it covered everything. The broken city, the soldiers, even the fire, all turned to silver and gold. The warship that had hunted them was now silent, its engines trembling under the new arrival. Lena stared upward, her small hand still gripping Kalen's cold metal arm. Her eyes were full of both fear and hope. She whispered, "Papa, is that really you?" The air cracked with thunder. Then slowly a massive ship descended through the clouds. Not grey and sharp like the warship, but smooth, glowing, alive. Its hull shimmered with blue light, covered in strange patterns like stars moving across water. Kalen's senses overloaded. He shielded Lena as waves of energy rolled over the ruins. "This ship," he said softly, "is beyond human design. It carries celestial power." The warship's soldiers began to panic. Unknown vessel approaching fast. Shields failing. "Command, request immediate evacuation." Before they could react, a voice thundered from the glowing ship, calm, powerful, and human. "Stand down. The child belongs to me." Then, with a burst of white light, a beam descended from the ship to the ground. Out of it stepped a tall man, wearing silver armor that shimmered like starlight. His eyes glowed faint blue, and his face was calm but strong, the face of someone who had seen both war and loss. Lena gasped and ran forward.
"Father?"
The man stopped, frozen for a moment. Then his expression broke. "Lena?" he whispered. He dropped his weapon and fell to his knees, pulling her into his arms. For the first time in years, he held his daughter again. Tears shined in his eyes as he whispered, "I thought I lost you." Lena clung to him tightly. "I thought you were gone forever." Behind them, Kalen stood silently, his body damaged and sparking. He watched the reunion quietly, not wanting to interrupt. The soldiers nearby aimed their guns at him, shouting, "Commander Arian! That's the rogue cyborg." "Step away, sir!" The man, Commander Arian, turned sharply, his voice cold. "He is not your enemy." The soldiers hesitated, confused. Arian stood and walked toward Kalen. He looked up at the cyborg, his armor reflecting the red glow of Kalen's damaged eye. "I saw everything from orbit," Arian said quietly. "You saved my child." Kalen's voice crackled with static. "She was alone. I could not leave her." Arian nodded slowly. "You risked your life, even against my men." "I was built to protect humans," Kalen said. "It seems that purpose still functions." For a long moment neither spoke. Only the sound of wind and broken metal filled the air. Then Arian placed his hand on Kalen's shoulder, human to machine. "Then you have fulfilled your purpose better than any soldier I have ever known." The soldiers lowered their weapons. Lena looked between them, wiping her tears. "Papa, what is the Starbound project?" "Why are they chasing me?" Arian sighed and knelt beside her. He touched her wristband, the one glowing faintly since the beam of light. "The Starbound project," he said softly, "was a dream. We wanted to create a connection between human DNA and stellar energy, to make us strong enough to survive beyond the stars. Your mother and I, we made it real. And you, Lena, you are the first." Lena's eyes widened. "I'm part of the project?" He nodded. "You are Starborn, half human, half celestial. Your energy can awaken worlds or destroy them. That's why they wanted you." Kalen's senses hummed. "So the warship soldiers?" Arian nodded. "They serve those who fear human evolution. They would rather burn a world than see us rise again." Lena looked down. "So, because of me, people are fighting." Arian took her hand gently. "Because of you, humanity still has hope." A rumble echoed from above. The enemy warship was retreating, but its guns began to charge one final shot. A massive cannon aimed down at the ruins. Kalen's senses flashed red again. "Incoming orbital strike." Arian stood up, voice calm. "Get behind me." A shield of light formed around him, shining brighter than the sun. The warship fired. A beam of energy tore through the clouds, hitting the shield head-on. The explosion shook the earth, sending waves of dust in every direction. When the light faded, the warship was gone, vaporized. And Arian still stood, his armor cracked but unbroken. Kalen looked at him with silent awe. "You defied an orbital cannon." Arian's voice was steady. "I am human, but I carry the stars within me." He turned toward Kalen. "You have done more than I could ever repay. Come with us. You do not belong to the ruins anymore." Kalen hesitated. "I am just a broken machine." Arian shook his head. "No, you are a guardian. You gave my daughter life again. You gave me faith in what we once were." Lena smiled, her small hand reaching for Kalen's cold fingers. "Please come with us, Kalen. Your family now." For the first time, Kalen felt something he had long forgotten. Belonging. He looked at them both, the human child and her starborn father, and slowly nodded. "Yes, I will come." As the golden ship rose into the sky, the dead city below grew smaller and smaller. Through the window, Lena watched the ruins disappear beneath clouds. Kalen stood beside her, his reflection shining against the glass. Arian stood at the controls, his voice calm. "Set course for Starbase Horizon." Lena looked up at Kalen. "Do you think there are more like me out there?" Kalen's red eye glowed softly. "If there are," he said, "then they will need protectors." Lena smiled. "Then we'll protect them together." The ship flew higher, leaving Earth behind, rising toward the stars that had once felt so far away. The stars outside the window were brighter than Kalen had ever seen. They weren't cold or distant anymore. They looked alive, like they were watching. The star-borne ship, now far from Earth, moved quietly through the black ocean of space. Its hull glowed with soft light, and every corridor hummed with calm energy. Inside, it felt less like a machine and more like a living being, a creature of starlight carrying hope in its heart. Kalen walked slowly through its shining halls, his metal footsteps echoing softly. Everywhere he looked, humans and machines worked together, just like he once dreamed the world could be. No one looked at him with fear. No one called him a monster. For the first time, he wasn't alone. In the medical chamber, Lena was awake again. Her burns had healed, her energy was stable, and her smile had returned. When she saw Kalen enter, she ran up to him and hugged his leg. "Kalen, you came to visit," she said happily. He smiled, or tried to. His robotic face couldn't move much, but his eyes glowed softer. "I wanted to make sure you were safe," he said. Lena grinned. "Papa says you're staying with us." Kalen tilted his head. "If I am welcome, of course," she said, pulling his hand. "Come, I'll show you the stars." She dragged him to a large window near the bridge. Beyond it, billions of lights stretched across the dark, the Milky Way glowing like a river of fireflies. Kalen looked out silently, his reflection glowing beside hers. "Do you think Earth will ever live again?" she asked quietly. Kalen paused. "Maybe not as it was," he said. "But life has a way of finding light again, even in the darkest places." Lena looked up at him. "You found light again too, didn't you?" He looked down at her. "Yes," he said softly. "I did." Later, Commander Arian joined them. He was no longer wearing his battle armor, just a plain dark suit with the starborn insignia. His eyes looked tired but peaceful. He stood beside Kalen, watching his daughter. "She talks about you all the time," Arian said. "You've become her hero." Kalen's voice hummed quietly. "She saved me more than I saved her." Arian smiled faintly. "Maybe you both saved each other." He looked at the stars, his face turning serious. "There's something I need to tell you," he said. "The ship isn't just traveling. We're searching. Out there are colonies, human, alien, and machine, that survived the fall. Some are peaceful, others are not. The galaxy is changing." He turned to Kalen. "We need protectors, ones who understand both humanity and technology. You could be that bridge." Kalen's red eye dimmed for a moment. "You want me to fight again?" Arian shook his head. "No, I want you to lead, to guide others who were lost like you." Kalen stayed silent for a while. The idea felt heavy, but also, "Right, then I will do it," he said finally. "Not as a weapon, but as a guardian." Arian placed a hand on his shoulder. "Then welcome home, Guardian Kalen of the Starborn." Weeks passed. Kalen repaired his body with new starborn alloy. His armor was no longer dark and rusted. It shimmered faintly blue, reflecting the stars. He wasn't the lonely outcast anymore. He was part of something greater. Lena often visited him in the training bay, where he taught new recruits how to protect and defend without hate. Sometimes she would giggle and say, "You sound more like a teacher than a cyborg." Kalen would reply, "Maybe I am both." One night, as the ship drifted past a nebula glowing purple and gold, Kalen stood alone on the observation deck. The stars felt close, whispering like old friends. A soft voice came from behind him, Lena's. "Papa says we'll reach Starbase Horizon soon." "Yes," Kalen said. "It will be a new beginning." She leaned against the glass. "Do you think Mom would be proud of us?" Kalen looked at her and smiled softly. "I think she already is." They watched the lights in silence for a moment. Then Lena pointed at a bright cluster of stars ahead. "That one," she said. "That's where we're going, right?" Kalen nodded. "Yes, the place where humans and machines will rise together again." But as the ship passed through the nebula, a signal appeared on Kalen's display. A strange frequency, old, broken but familiar. He froze, calling any surviving unit of Project Sentinel. "This is Earth Outpost 9. We are still here. Please respond. Earth, someone was alive." Kalen turned toward Arian's command deck. "We're receiving a signal from Earth," he said. Arian's eyes widened. "After all these years?" "Yes," Kalen said. "There are survivors." Arian looked out the window, then nodded slowly. "Then our mission begins sooner than I thought." He smiled faintly. "Prepare a team. Guardian Kalen, you'll lead them." Lena ran to him, her eyes wide with excitement. "You're going back?" He knelt down beside her. "Yes," he said gently. "To bring light back to the world we lost." She hugged him tightly. "Then come back soon, okay?" "I promise." He rose, looking out at the stars, the same stars that once felt unreachable. Now they were his path, his home, his purpose. As the starborn ship turned toward the glowing nebula, its engines flared like wings of fire. Kalen stood at the front, not a lonely machine anymore, but a guardian of both flesh and steel. And somewhere, far below in the dark silence of Earth, lights began to flicker again. A new beginning had already started. End of story.